What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Among the Fence, my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron, and today I'm going to be checking out the new album, Deathrattle Sing For Me, by the band Norma Jean. Deathrattle Sing For Me is the 9th studio album from the Georgia native metalcore band since they released Bless the Martyr and Kiss the Child in 2002. The band started back in 1997, however, under the name Ludacris, and they released one album and 3 EPs. I first discovered them, or I guess I first stumbled upon them while I was watching MTV or I don't know, something, maybe it was like Much Music or Fuse or something. And I saw their Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste music video, which featured the vocalist from Me Without You. And I was an instant fan of the band. I didn't really get into them all that much until their third studio album, Redeemer, came out in 2006. And I gotta admit that even after that, I don't know, the band kind of fell on the back burner for me compared to all the other heavy hitters like As I Know Lay Dying and August Burns Red. It wasn't until I got a request to do a review on their last album, All Hail, which kind of reignited my love for them. It was probably my 4th review that I did on the channel. I really didn't have any idea what I was doing. I still actually don't have any idea what I'm doing. But that album gave me hope for the band again, and I couldn't wait to hear some new music from them. Like, they're one of the few OG metalcore bands from the early 2000s that still make good music, and they didn't like really sell out to more radio play stuff. They kind of stay true to who they were, and they've evolved and matured really gracefully over the years. But anyways, yeah, let's talk about this album now. The album starts off with the song 1994, which comes in rather slow and quiet till a really chunky guitar and yelled vocals come in, and everything's kind of hanging out in the background until about halfway through the song where the volume gets cranked up on the mix. The lyrics are pretty nostalgic, being about like a 90s kid growing up, but it's also about how times have changed a lot since then, and things have kind of progressively gotten worse as time has gone on. Then we have the song Call for the Blood. It sounds kind of like a computer, mostly in the intro, which kind of fits the lyrics, ones and zeros. The vocals are fantastic, going kind of cleanish to being kind of growlish, and they just have a lot of grit on them, and they sound so freaking good. The lead melody from the guitar is very catchy, and it sounds good with the open drum passage. This whole song has so many layers to it, and I feel like it's probably like the most dynamic song on the album. It's got a great groove. It's a fantastic song. This one could have even been used as the opening, to be honest. Spearmint Revolt is kind of a weird song for me because it's one of the singles that was released, and at the same time it's also one of my favorite songs. It's got this staticky intro with a sick riff to it. The bass is a huge part of this song thanks to its thick tone that basically rattles everything. And the chorus is huge thanks to the vocals and the big chords from the guitars. And I love the metaphors and the lyrics throughout this song. They just sound so original. And the bridge has like this nice valley to it with a clean, twangy guitar with maybe like a flanger effect on it or something. And the breakdown is nasty, and the hook at the end of it is just something you want to keep hearing over and over again. It makes a really smooth transition going into that final chorus and just absolutely disgusting outro. And then we have the song Memorial Horde, which has this synth and bass heavy intro, and the bass again is just very thick sounding. The clean vocals have like this effect on it that gives a lot to this haunting atmosphere. Then it explodes with like a slow drum beat and 3 really big chords, and the vocals are fierce before they cut out for like this kind of like low valley again, but then it comes right back in where it left off with cleans this time, and it has a really pretty guitar melody. This is a really fantastic song. I really enjoyed it a lot, but it just, to me, it kind of had a hard time finding its place within the album, especially with the outro, which has like this creepy bug zapper kind of sound to it. Aria, Obscura is another one of my favorite songs on this album. There's going to be quite a bit. It has like this post-hardcore vibe to it, specifically in the intro, at least until the verse comes in, which has a very in-your-face riff to it. And the guitar has like this swelling effect sound to it that I loved a lot. It sounds so good with all the other instruments. And I like that they didn't abuse this effect and just throw on every single song like kind of tends to happen a lot with bands. And the chorus brings back that main riff with some gritty vocals, and the guitar work in the bridge and the pre-chorus is just so dynamic. But to me, I feel like the drums stole the show in this song. It has a sick breakdown in the outro, and then this is probably my actual favorite song on the album. It is Any Percent, and it jumps right into it with the aggressive verse, and the vocal delivery sounds like it's on the edge with the guitar and the drums. And the chorus has kind of a more pronounced rhythm to it, but it's still pretty chaotic. But then once you get right back into the verse again, it just reminds you just how chaotic the rest of the song really is. And the bridge has like this suspenseful buildup to a breakdown that's very long and drawn out. Like it's just got this big chord that plays, and it just let it resonate. And even the vocals kind of do the same thing, and it sounds so freaking amazing. The song Parallela is like the dividing point on the album. It's just very synth heavy. The lyrics in it are very good, and it's actually a good like middle section. I'm glad that they did this instead of like they did on All Hail, which is like they would have done like some kind of instrumental thing that doesn't really have any substance to it and doesn't, I don't know, it wouldn't change the album if it was on there or not, as opposed to this song, which it absolutely does. And then we have the song Wave, or WWAVVE. I'm not really sure what that means. I looked into it for a little bit, but I didn't really dive into it or, try and search it out too hard. It's got this staticky intro that erupts with a driving riff and drums, but then the riff drops out in the verse and it has like this quick palm muted passage. It sounds so good. And the chorus sounds like it was basically made for moshing. And I love the post-chorus melody that just lasts for just a little bit. And it comes in strong in the bridge before the final chorus. I feel like this song needed a breakdown though between the bridge and the chorus. I feel like it would have made it hit a little bit harder, made it a little bit less predictable, because you're expecting a breakdown in the outro, and that's basically what they do. But overall, it's still a pretty solid song. A Killing Word starts out with this clean guitar passage thing, and it ushers in my favorite riff on this entire album. And I love that they keep it going through the verse. The chorus has this anthem vibe to it, but then they bring all that aggression back in the pre-chorus. The bridge just repeats the same 5 lines over and over again with a synth that flows directly into the last chorus. This one is probably the most radio play sounding song on the album. Even though there's nothing that's frequently happening in it, it definitely has like this, it feels kind of repetitive. It sounds very familiar. It's not quite as unique as other songs on this album. And for that reason, it's probably my least favorite song, but at the same time, it's not a bad song whatsoever. And then we have the song Penny Morgues, which has a slow build in the intro with a clean guitar and gentle vocals, and the delivery on the vocals is pretty daring, but I really dig it in the chorus, the way how they kind of have like this stuttering effect thing that they do. And it's a slow burn, and to say it erupts after the second chorus is an understatement. I mean, it gets huge and all the emotion comes out, and it makes that third chorus just have so much more passion to it, and it just sounds so good. Then we have the song Elroy. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but it looks like how it would be said, so I'm sticking with it. It is named after a Hebrew name for God that's found in the Old Testament. It's actually found in the Bible once, and there's lots of Hebrew names in the Bible for God, and they're used multiple times, so I think this is the only one that's used once. I could be wrong on that. I'm not completely sure, but it means the God who sees me. And this song basically just repeats If I Stare Into the Abyss 23 times with a synth effect. And I like it because it's an open-ended question. Like, some people are speculating that it would say, if I stare into the abyss, would it be you who's looking back at me? And you could kind of just plug in however you feel. And it really fits the whole atmosphere and the theme and the aesthetic of this entire album. And then we have the song Sleep Explosion, which has a really good groove and syncopation in the intro, and it does a good job at bringing the energy back up, because it was getting kind of slow there for a minute. And it's got like this duet style vocals thing in verse 2, and a really just sick, nasty galloping bridge that just makes you want to get up and start throwing your fists around. This is probably the heaviest song on the album, and honestly that bridge might be my favorite part on the album as well. Then we have the closing track, Heartache, which is a 8-minute long song, but it doesn't feel that long, if I'm going to be completely honest. Just the way they kind of broke things up. And the intro starts out with like this movie soundtrack kind of feel to it, and all the instruments start coming in, and holy crap, that freaking bass, it just keeps popping up everywhere, and it sounds so good. It's just so thick. It's so heavy. And the verse has this cool guitar part, but it's mostly driven by the vocals and the drums. Everything goes off in the chorus that has fantastic lyrics. Verse 2 has like multiple vocals in the first part of it, and the section going into the bridge is absolutely brilliant. And everything comes to a standstill after it. And it's got like this Eye of the Storm kind of feel with like this shimmering effect going on in the refrain that gives it a lot of depth. I would have really liked to have heard the chorus again, But the outro that they give us is still really dope, and it's full of just so much emotion. And it finishes things off with that shimmering effect. This is a solid finishing track. The lyrics in it, they hit home. It's so good. It's so personal, and it just works so well. Deathrattle Sing to Me seems a little bit more mature and focused compared to All Hail, which to my ears seemed a little bit more raw in terms of songwriting, where this is more raw in terms of production, which, I mean, they were both pretty raw in terms of production. But this one, it just seems like they had a better idea of what they were really going for. They really sat down and thought out like the theme and the song structure to all of these songs. And I also really resonated with the lyrics that were so original. There wasn't any like stupid cliche stuff thrown around in there. Sure, there was different quotes from like Elvis and different movies and stuff, but they were used very tastefully. They weren't overdone. Like every single hook in each song wasn't something you've heard 1,000 times before. The riffs were as amazing and heavy as ever, and the drums were fantastic. But the thing that caught me off guard the most was the bass. The bass surprised me in this album a number of times. I even had to go back a couple times just so I could hear it again because it was so good. The only thing, my only gripe with this entire album is just about every single intro of every single song starts out the same exact way. It's kind of like quiet and staticky, and the mix is turned way down. You can kind of hear what's going on, and then it comes in really loud with the mix in full, and it's got like this, it gives it like a suspenseful build up, kind of like get ready, hold on, here it comes kind of feel to it, which, I mean, it works, but for every song, I don't know, it's whatever. It's still a very minor offense, and it's not really significant in terms of anything bad about this album. So with all that said, I got to give Deathrattle Sing For Me by Norma Jean a 8.5 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. When I did my review on All Hail, I had a couple of fans jump on there, and they really got into it, really told me how much they love this album. So yeah, I know there's a lot of diehard fans out there. So let me know what you guys think of this album. Let me know how it compares to the rest. If you think this is a good progression the band is going in. And also while you're down there, let me know what you want to review next. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to help support me and my channel, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon. Doing any of that stuff helps me out tremendously. I appreciate it more than you guys could ever imagine. I'm so close to hitting 800 subscribers, which is really close to 1,000, which is pretty close to 1 million. I feel like I'm almost there. And I just thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.
I was just an ignorant kid relying on my parents said to save me. Years gone by, turning over, ignoring every day. Said to convict me. 17 at the top of my head.